It's 11:34, and joining us in studio, live at the Hawk, Premier Darrell Dexter, Greg Morrow from the Hawk Newsroom, also joining us. Good morning, I should say.
Good morning, thank you, Kelly.
Good morning.
Premier Dexter, good to have you in. When we came in, I told you to take your usual seat because you're getting to be a familiar voice and face around these parts. First couple times, not necessarily on the most positive note, but this time the news does seem to be more positive. We can talk more specifically in a minute, but just to start, this provincial investment that you've announced in Port Hawkesbury this morning, how would you describe it?
Well, I think it comes in many parts. It's designed to reposition the whole mill and the forestry sector in this region in order to make sure that it's profitable and sustainable for the long term. And as I say, it's a considerable investment from the province's perspective, but you have to compare. For example, next year to last year. I mean, last year we put some, $34 million in, keeping the forestry sector going, keeping the mill in hot idle, and the contribution back to the economy was muted. So next year, with that mill operating, it will put $160 million into this local economy. It'll put another more than $11 million in direct provincial tax revenue into our coffers, money that goes to support schools, hospitals, builds roads. So yes, it's a substantial investment in the region, but I believe it's worth it.
How will these measures specifically help get this mill back up and running?
Well, the $24 million forgivable loan is based on capital expenditure, so that means that the operator, Stern or Pacific West, will have to invest money in new capital projects that will increase the efficiency of the mill. We already have one of the highest technologically advanced machines in North America. This will simply add value to that efficiency equation, allow it to operate at an even higher level. There's a workforce development fund that's going to allow us to train the workers so that they can actually operate at the highest level of efficiency and productivity. There's a $40 million operating credit line that will assist them as they bring on new contracts, and that money, by the way, is repayable. I would make this point. Pacific West has a great track record. They have entered into a number of deals with various paper mills. They built one in Alberta, they acquired one in Oregon, they acquired another one. In every case where there has been a loan extended to Pacific West, they have repaid it in full. So we feel good about the partnership. We've done everything we can to support it. There is one thing that is left, and that is a favorable tax ruling from the Canada Revenue Agency. So the federal government has control of that piece of it. We believe there is no technical reason for it to fail. We have looked at it very carefully, and that ruling should come down the next 3 or 4 weeks, and we're hopeful for a positive outcome.
I wanted to just touch on one of the points of the funding. One thing that jumped out at me is $1.5 million to train workers to operate PM2. That seems like a lot of money when you're rehiring workers that already knew how to use that machine.
Well, as I said, part of the capital project is to bring in new capital equipment. So you're talking about new equipment coming into that mill to make it even more efficient and more competitive in the market. So there are of course going to have to be training done in order to ensure that the workers who are there can maximize the value of that capital equipment. If you put in capital equipment designed to make it more efficient and then don't train the workers how to use it, then you've defeated the purpose of your capital investment. So this is you have to do both things, and we're committed to the workforce. You have a dedicated, professional, hard-working group of workers here at the mill. We want to give them every chance, every opportunity to be the best in the world.
And we are talking tens of millions of dollars here in investment, and that 1.5 might not seem like a lot, but it was something that just sort of jumped out to me.
Look, you try to tell anybody that $1.5 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is, no matter how you slice it, but we have to make investments that are appropriate to the requirements of the company. And as I said, I think this is this is important not just for Port Hawkesbury and the region around the Strait. It is important for all of the province. the province is only healthy when all parts of the province are healthy. And I mean, undoubtedly, I will go back to Halifax, and the talk shows will be, riddled with people who will say that this investment shouldn't have been made, or they will have reasons why they think it's ill-advised. I can only say to those people that this investment is designed to ensure that tax revenue comes into the province that allows us to build schools, roads, hospitals, supply services, and those take place everywhere, including in Halifax.
How, you sort of, took away my next question, but just maybe expand, how tough a sell is this in other parts of the province? When you mentioned you go back to Halifax and the talk shows, you are going to have some questions on your hands.
When you're in this business, and people, I think, always seek to understand the decisions that political people make. And they'll see a decision made in one place and a different decision made in somewhere else, and they'll wonder why that is. Well, we have a tremendous amount of information that we are given. The briefing books that I take home almost every night are replete with reports and analysis and expertise. And in the end, you have to have your own internal compass when you're analyzing these things that says this is the right decision to make, this is the right investment to make. And I believe that is the case here. We look at all of the factors. You look at the workforce. You look at the natural resource. You look at the capital equipment. You look at the community, and you say, this is the right decision to make for the community.
You mentioned it is a substantial investment. I don't think anybody would argue that there's a significant risk as well. With feeling like it is the right decision, what actual tangible assurances do you have that we don't end up in another situation like Bowater in Liverpool?
Well, it's a different situation altogether. I mean, Bowater is a pulp mill. It was a very
fair enough, but you're talking about putting a lot of money into a mill when there's no guarantee that the mill will be sustainable.
Well, that is true, and so let's look at just by contrast. Let's look at Bowater's. Bowater's was not successful in their comeback. But that didn't cost the province anything. In fact, the monies that we advanced them were never drawn down. The one expenditure we made, we bought property for under market value, a considerable advantage to the province. Here we have a different kind of machine. We've heard from everybody that this is the best machine anywhere in North America. It has been analyzed, assessed. We've had experts in the field look at it. We have had, countless industry analysis done. They all say the same thing, that this mill should operate, should be successful. We've worked with all of the stakeholders, whether it has been the workers at the union hall, whether it has been the businesses in the community, the municipalities, Nova Scotia Power, and Pacific West. We said, and you will remember, as you say, I was sitting in the seat, you will remember that one of the first things that we did, almost within days of this announcement, is we went out and we brought everybody together. We said this requires the effort of the province, it requires the efforts of the municipalities, the business community, the workers, and that is why I believe that this is going to be successful, as I believe in Liverpool, now that there is a community-led transition team down there, that we will find a successful conclusion for that plant there. We will find ways to maximize the value of the assets down there, and I think by the time this is all over, we will see good things in Queens County as well. It's not going to take the same route that it took here, but I believe that there is a path forward there as well.
This is your third time visiting us. This visit, as I mentioned at the beginning, has a more positive feel to it, at least especially in this part of the province. And the first two times when we finished, I asked you, what do you want to tell the people of the Quad Counties at this point? So again, what do you want to tell the people?
Well, I want to tell them that, we have done everything in our power, everything possible to try and ensure that this mill is going to operate for the long term. We're not here to offer a subsidy simply to put a mill back in operation for the short term. We were here because we are part of this community too. The people that I represent, the membership that I have, live in this community. They work here, and we want, as we want in every area of the province, to have a successful economic base. As I said earlier, the area around metropolitan Halifax, Dartmouth can only be successful when all areas of the province are successful. It is our responsibility. At the announcement, I said this. Maybe it bears repeating. That this is 2.5% of the GDP. It's It's more than $11 million in direct tax revenue. It's some 1,400 jobs. Those are all numbers. It is families, communities, industry that are the bricks that build a province. And sometimes it is up to governments to be the mortar between those bricks.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and speak to us.
My pleasure. Always great to see you.
Premier Darrell Dexter, live on 115 The Hawk, and we'll have more coming up with our noon newscast on The Hawk.
1015 The Hawk's Facebook page.